Yeah, right. And you have to manually turn it down?
Yeah.
And welcome to the Australian Mixed Ultimate Championships Div 1 2024 Day 2. We have a ripper of a game coming up for you, Umami versus Puggle. My name is Phil Shields.
And I'm Katie Snellgrove. And today we're going to be your commentators.
Yeah, it should be a good game. The day is going to start fresh. We've got sun shining. The fields are very nice. They're lush green. We did have a nice soaking of rain over the last few nights, and the days are being clear as. It's a light breeze coming towards us at the moment in the commentary position. This is being brought to you by ULTI.TV. Your crew is Jay, Rex, Mike, and Katie as well. So thank you very much.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Before we get into the game, we'd just like to acknowledge today that we're playing and working on Warramai country up here in Nelson Bay, and just wanted to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and as well as to thank all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who play this beautiful game of Frisbee, as well as any viewers out there.
Shout out to all First Nations people. Okay, so we have Puggle is to the left of screen, and they will be on offense, Umami on right of screen on defense. They'll be pulling. So Umami in blue.
And this is an important game for Umami. Definitely needing to win this one here to have a chance at making the quarterfinals.
Yeah, so let's just go through that. We've had 2 losses from yesterday. Sorry, we're talking about Puggle, aren't we? No, Umami. Yes, sorry, I'm with it now. I'll get there. It's too early in the morning for me. I haven't had my coffee yet. So yes, Umami, they lost against Era 15-14 on Universe, and they lost against Pompey 15-9 as well. So this is a do or die for Umami if they want to have any chance of making it to the finals.
As we see that first pull go up from Sheikh from Umami, recently played with Germany on the women's team at the World Championships.
So setting it up, Puggle looking for something through the middle and just through the hands, a little bit wide there of hands at the moment, and we get a quick turn.
We've got Rogers there with the disc in that handler space, and it just goes over the top, and Puggle have got another chance here to convert as it goes long to the end zone. 2 Umami players under it, and they manage to snatch it out of the air.
Yeah, height just a factor against them in that one, but that would have been a great take if they were able to pull that one off.
Catch pole there. Tavali on the sideline. Umami trying to work through this Puggle defense. As we know, Puggle has got a strong line. And a huge bid there from number 31 on Puggle. It goes up to the end zone and Lim's under it, and it just goes through her hands. Missed chance there for Umami.
Yeah, working up that far sideline. Need to really use the full width of the field, I think, but probably staying on the low side isn't such a bad option. No, it's the high side in this wind. As we get Puggle looking for a vertical stack in the middle of the field. Looking at 2 handlers as they spread out.
It'll be interesting to see what types of defense both teams pull out here today. Always in the first point, it can be a little bit interesting, mixing things up with the conditions and how the other team plays. Seems like Umami's doing a sort of bracket here, stopping that under and deep shot, as Holly Reeve from Puggle is looking for it long. He's not getting it at the moment.
Puggle's working it down this near side through their women set, and that's a nice look over the top. The angle on that should have favoured the 2 Puggle receivers, but Umami comes away with the D and the turn.
Umami here with another chance. Varley at the disc. Over to Phillips. Puggle seeming to not really put on a mark just yet, and here they go. This goes long to Phillips, who's charging towards the end zone, and he gets his hands to it. Great composure there.
Picks it off with his shoelaces, and throw away. There was a chance gone begging for them, as there was confusion in the Puggle defense. A couple of Puggle players pointing, trying to get help deep. That didn't come forth, which allowed that big break from Umami.
Yeah, we see that happen quite often in Ultimate, where you do something really cool and then the adrenaline just gets to you and you make a mistake like that. It's really disappointing when that happens. With Puggle on the sideline, can they work it down and get this hold for the opening point of the game? With Miller, the disc, to Reeve.
Looking for something down the sideline again. Feet just in bounds. They're really pushing their limits at the moment here. A little bit of crowding around the disc. Gets a bit of a dad backhand off. That works though. Happy with that. And knocking on the door now. Hammer over the top. That should be an easy catch. And they score. That opens the account for Puggle. They're happy about that one.
Yeah, great patience there just at the end. Umami would be a little disappointed with that, having the chance to take the break, but Puggle did well to work it through most of their players up that sideline, and then a hammer into space.
We see that replay again. Just looking to the middle. There's the relief valve throw there, and immediately seen out the back of the end zone. Hammer over the top, avoiding any defensive possibility for the score.
Very hard to defend that one in the end zone.
So we talked about Puggle's road to this point in time. Umami's. Now let's talk about Puggle's. So Puggle yesterday played and lost against Magnus 15-10, and they won against Era 10-15, which is a bit of an upset for them. The Era were ranked above them. So Puggle are coming into this ranked number 9 and Umami ranked number 10. So essentially no difference between the two.
Should be a close game. I know these two teams have met multiple times this year and last. I think both teams were formed last year, so still relatively new. Probably still developing some connections as we see Umami with the disc.
Nice run into the center of the field. Oh, almost just enough pressure on that to cause the drop. Wants to get the double happiness on it. Reads it well, gets the double happiness, gets the block and the goal. Very happy indeed.
Great work there from from Puggle. As you said, she just capitalized on the Umami player not quite running through the disc to catch that there. And got an easy break there for Puggle, which at this stage of the game, you definitely don't want to be giving those away. No,
a lead of break of 2 is just can be everything in a match. You really want to peg that back. So Umami will be wanting to make sure they get a score on the board this point, so they don't let it get away from them.
Exactly. As we were talking about before, this one is a do-or-die game for Umami to make the quarters. Puggle definitely want to solidify their spot in the quarters with a win here. And both teams ranked very closely. So it's anyone's game, but if Puggle can come away with a break, it's going to make it even harder for Umami.
Well, let's see what happens here.
As we see that pull comes up from Puggle. Umami on offense. We've got Bethune and Kiguchi behind the disc. Kiguchi, a player from Japan, who's here on exchange.
A nice inside break there, running onto that. Not floating enough, that left-hand flick into the deep end zone. A nice break away there by the receiver. Definitely an opportunity for Umami to claw that 1 point back, which they need.
Yeah, it's just a shame that one not quite having enough touch for that receiver. You could see that they had the advantage on their defensive player down in the end zone, but just too zippy there. So we see Puggle working from a vert stack. Looking quite comfortable so far, Puggle, as they flick it to the break side.
Big wind up, backhand.
And there's a few people under it. Can they get it? And Umami does well to knock that one out of the sky.
Quick swing by Umami. Now they're looking down this near sideline. Puts it back into the middle. Nice defense by Puggle to hold them a bit static at the moment. There's a nice around on the sideline again.
We've got Ethel here on the sideline, looking for someone. Puggle's doing well to kind of smother that handler movement there. Appel looking for the disc for Umami. Puggle pushing them back a little bit. Umami really working hard from that vert stack. Kind of foot racing at the moment. And Bailey, nice hands there.
Nice patience by Umami here. Not doing anything too tricky. Just doing everything they needed to do there to get that point, as we were just talking about that. They'll be happy indeed about that.
Very much so. You could hear the energy from the sideline there from the Umami players. Didn't want to throw away another chance to stay in this game in the early stages.
2-1's the score. Our game advisors today are Aidan and Nate, with good experience across Australia and in the world's scene. They are in green on the sidelines and are there to aid, not to direct the players in any calls that they have and any queries they have about the rules of the game.
Yeah, so for anyone out there who maybe hasn't watched much Frisbee, all of the calls on the field are done by the players, so everyone needs to have a good knowledge of the rules, and then, like Phil said, we can have the game advisors step in if they are asked to by the players on the field.
And any advice that the game advisors give is not binding on the players in their final decisions as to what the call will be.
This might be one of the first times we see Puggle come out on offense in this game, except for that first point. So interesting to see whether they keep working from that vert stack here. It seems to be working for them so far, Phil.
It does. Both teams, I think, have got a reasonable offense and a reasonable defense, which is why it's close at the moment. We've got a pull that went out, I think, or maybe was it offside? I missed that one.
I believe she was signalling offside, but there seems to be a little bit of confusion on the field about where we're starting. So offside is when the defensive line has run, or either side, but in this case Umami must have been off their line of the defensive end too quickly before that pull came up, as we see a long shot to the end zone, and it Puggles under it, and a huge grab.
Absolutely brilliant. The stretch, the run, the read, the float, the put, just it all came together there for Puggle. So they are happy to get another one on the board for them, making the score 3-1.
Yeah, that was a great grab there from Puggle. We'll just see who that was in the end zone. Number 17, Wu. Really outstretched hand. And a nice early throw. So you see that replay coming up. Didn't even have to leave her feet.
No, it's really good vision, I felt, by the thrower then. Threw very early, put a lot of float on it, really gave the receiver a good chance to get ahead of their defender and take the disc for a score.
As we're going to have Puggle coming out on defense. This is the last game of pool play for these teams, at least, for this tournament. as we'll be heading into quarterfinals this afternoon, as Bethune and Kiguchi again handling for Umami. Let's see what they can do in the underspace for Umami. Puggle doing well to trap them on that sideline over there with a huge bid.
Great bid there. And a great stretch there. Just keep the disc alive for Umami there. Centering it back now. Will we see a swing across the field? Yes. Oh, I thought we were going to. Keeping up the sideline. So the defense by Puggle is doing very well. And just a bit of a bobble there and not a strong catch, obviously. And we get a turn straight away. Puggle looking for their 4th point. Stretch the lead out to 3. Will they get it? Comes down the near side line to Rickards.
We can see that energy lifting on the sideline here. Umami really wanting to grab this point back. Puggle looking quite composed there. Not happy to pass it back to the handlers. Lose a bit of ground. As we are over to Weir. Umami doing well to stop those defensive looks as we swing it over to the other side. And a huge bid there from Umami.
That was definitely going on the highlights reel, that one. And this early in the game, hopefully we'll get a few more of those.
Yeah, that was Hodson there for Umami, leaving his feet. I'm sure we'll see that a few more times this game. Can Umami capitalise on that huge play there? Puggle working hard to stop it. But it seems like we've got a foul call.
Bit of body contact, that's accepted, that's fine. That was very quickly worked out.
We can feel that wind kind of picking up as it goes long to Hodson in the end zone. And another double happiness. Huge point there from Umami.
Yeah, that was an extremely good look and a good run and good throw as well. So Umami staying in the picture, making it 3-2 to Puggle.
Got some celebrations there from the Umami team. As we might just get to see on that replay who threw that. Great shot. Seeing that replay of that huge D there from Nick Hodson. It was a good look there from Weir, from Puggle.
Yeah.
And you see that flick. Heaps of time there for Umami to come down with that one in the end zone.
I've noticed that both teams have been limited to their flick sideline as they're working it up the field, not really getting it to that backhand sideline.
Yeah, we've got a bit of wind kind of coming across the field, getting stronger a little bit, which could be influencing our defense tactics, trying to push them downwind.
So no one's broken out zone yet. Be interested to see if and when that comes out and how effective it will be. As Puggle go for another vert stack. And a straight up force there. I'm not too sure if that was just for the number 1. And they're holding back a little bit, I noticed, Umami. And ineffective as it was, Richard scores.
Clean offense there from Puggle.
So Richards assists was my comment, not scores.
Yeah, and I think that was Reeve in the end zone. Very tricky player to mark. Very dominant in the handler space and also downfield.
So a number of scores coming from quite limited throws downfield. Be 1 or 2 passes and then into the end zone.
And it's working so far for Puggle. If we can see how much space she had there. The Umami player was coming in to try and contest that, but the timing of that throw and the cut was just too good. That throw coming from Richards Tang, who I believe recently played for the Firetails on the Gold Coast.
happy to make it to the Australian Mixed Ultimate Championships, no doubt. For those of you who are playing along at home and don't know, Umami are a team from Canberra and Puggle are a team from Sydney. And we are here in Nelson Bay, just a couple of hours north of Sydney.
As we've got Appel with the disc. Undercut to Hodson, and it just goes over the top of Kikuchi, and he lays out, but he can't get there.
I really don't know what happened there. It looked like he went up to get it and then just pulled his hands away at the last moment.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Did have to backtrack a little. I'm sure it wasn't the throw that Hodson was hoping for there. Might be a costly mistake for Umami.
Yeah, they don't want to let this one get away from them. The Puggle again, working it towards the flick sideline. So this defense by Umami, putting a force on.
Puggle right on the end zone, happy to work it across, not rushed. Umami needing to stop something here as they swing it across to the other side, and Puggle does it, converts another break. That goal was by Wood from Puggle. Number 67, thrown by Eriksson.
Yeah, nice working across to the break side and creating that open opportunity where the defender just had no look on it whatsoever.
Yeah, we've seen Puggle do that well a couple of times so far this game.
So like a lot of teams have that we've seen so far in this Australian Mixed Ultimate Championships, when the score gets to a lead by 3, the trailing team will often call a timeout, and it looks like Umami have done just that here. They want to slow the momentum that Puggle has and think about what they need to do to A, stop the opposition's momentum and to bring their own game.
Exactly. Timeouts can be very, very strategic. Particularly in these important games.
And you often see that. You can see here Umami just in a strong huddle there. They're talking about what they need to do, what's going right, what isn't going as right. Whereas you can see Puggle, they're just chill at the moment. They've got the flow, they've got this game. Let's see how that works for Puggle, because sometimes I think you do need to be chill, but sometimes you also do need to focus. Each team is different. They bring a different style of game. They bring their own style of game. You can see at the moment, just by the two different huddles, how those two different styles are reflected in the whole team and in the leadership.
Exactly. It can be easy when you do have a bit of a lead and the other team calls a timeout to get a little bit complacent. But it'll be important here for Puggle to come out with that same energy and same focus that they've had for the start of this game, because it is working for them. But Umami are definitely still in this. As we see, the score is 5-2 to Puggle. And as we see in Mixed Ultimate, if you weren't aware, we do have 7 players on the field, and we alternate between whether there's 4 women matching or men matching players on the field at any time. And we follow a pattern to make sure we get it right. And we also do that for the pull, as we are from Puggle up with the pull, a nice long one. Going to make Umami work all the way from the middle of their end zone. Open pass to Shake in the underspace there, really capitalizing into the middle to Lou. And a long shot goes up to the end zone. Umami's under it, but there's a Puggle player, and it's just fading off, and she's read it well. I'm not too sure the call here. Potentially a pick where that Puggle player was not able to keep up with his offensive player that he was following.
Yeah, so luckily for Umami, no turn involved in that. The Puggle player just gets to catch up, not sending the disc all the way back. I felt a lot of luck there, but also good planning by the Umami team. The flick that went up could have been a little bit longer. The Umami player had to wait a little bit and almost got sandwiched by 2 defensive players. But good positioning by Umami nonetheless to bring that disc down. As we see the disc now brought back into play, I have a feeling maybe even Umami have stacked this team a little bit in order to try and get this point.
And we can see that Puggle's intensity on defense has really lifted. They don't want to let Umami have this point here, but Umami's working well, sends it to the end zone, and Kiguchi manages to come down with it for Umami to convert that first point after the timeout. They'd definitely be happy with that one.
Yeah, so that one worked for them, that timeout. Nice intensity, nice effort, nice selection of the team to come on. They had structure, they had purpose, they had focus. You could tell that straight away when they received that pull, and it paid off for them as they claw one back. They just need to keep that intensity, that focus, that purpose, so that they can claw a few more back and be in the hunt. What I really want from this game is a nice close game.
Exactly. It's always more entertaining to watch a close game. Fun to play as well, although quite stressful when you end up on Universe. But those are the games that you remember, and I feel like those are the games that everyone plays for, really.
Yeah, they definitely are.
Can Umami stop the flow of Puggle here? Puggle, I don't think, has given up any breaks so far in the game. They've looked quite clean on their offense as the pool goes up. Sending it down the far sideline. We've got Byron underneath it, and he does well to read that and avoid any contact. Umami with a break chance.
As he's looking for something in the middle, nothing's eventuating, but we have a free player on the far sideline. Almost D'd by the Puggle defender there. Nice cut up the sideline. That'll be caught now. Do we get a swing across to the other side? We do. It's happening now. We should be able to get that score, and indeed we get that score.
Umami with their first break of the game. Could be a little bit of a shift in momentum here. I think that timeout worked really well for them, managing to convert that break, and they're definitely happy about that. You can see the team has lifted a little bit on that sideline. Puggle here might need to switch things up a little.
Yeah, the focus in the Umami team definitely changed since that timeout, and as I said, also the intensity. And that is going to bode well for them if they can continue and keep this up for the rest of the game. Looking at the Puggle team as they walk back, they seem a little bit flat-footed. They don't have as much energy in the team. They just seem to not have that focus. I'm not too sure what's going on in their heads. Is it their game strategy to just have that chill, laid-back attitude? I'm sure it is to a degree, but they don't want to get too laid back, too relaxed in that. Otherwise, you know, they've come to the championships. They've come to win at the very least. We're all competitive in that, let's face that. So they're not here going, oh, this is just another game. You know, que sera, it is what it is. They will want to be winning this as well. So they'll have those thoughts in their heads.
Exactly. As we see that pool come up. Seems like there's a little bit of a call here, potentially an offside call, with some confusion on the field. Game advisor giving some advice. The offside rule is not a well-known rule.
No, a lot of teams don't actually look, especially when there are game advisors like we have on this field. Game advisors will check to make sure both teams stay onside during the pull. If one team is offside at their end, they'll put their arms up and they'll form a cross. And teams generally don't look out for that.
No.
It takes a very aware player and team.
As we see Puggle coming down with it in the end zone. That hammer earlier in the piece really opening up the field for Puggle, and we see their classic end zone shot that I think most of Puggle's points that they've scored so far in this game have been long backhands to the end zone.
Yeah, and we'll see that on replay hopefully in a second. But I think what worked in the favour of the Puggle team just then, here we have it on replay, was the fact that there was a big stoppage. And I think that sort of took the wind out of Umami's sails as we see that being put, wind holding it up a little bit. Great extension, reaching to the top floor, bringing it down, and Puggle getting the score. So as I was saying, I think what really worked in the favour for Puggle with, as we were just saying, their relaxed attitude is that took the focus away from Umami. They weren't too sure what was happening. They didn't get their position set. They're caught in this no man's land defensively, and Puggle capitalised on it.
Yep, you only need to be half a second ahead of the defender to really, like you said, Phil, capitalise on that confusion.
Just a lapse in concentration.
Always frustrating when you're the team that doesn't benefit from that. As we see Umami, Kajuki, catching the pull, swinging it over to Hodson on the close sideline. Umami wanting to work it through the middle. Happy to, huge bid.
Absolutely spectacular. Jones wanted that one, gets it back. Someone running deep. Oh, thought he might put that. Eriksson with the disc in hand, looking for that break, coming up the strong side. Force flick, Weir in hand. Oh, Hammer, I've seen her do that before. Another score for Puggle, marking their dominance on this game.
Yeah, they look happy with that one. Jones doing well there with another defensive block for Puggle. They've had a few this game. They're kind of maybe baiting those, hanging back just close enough to the Umami players. And then when the throw doesn't quite come up, or if the Umami player doesn't quite run through the disc, they're getting those defensive blocks, getting off their feet. A great hammer there. Once again, really difficult to defend those in the end zone. You're usually, as a defensive player, standing on the, stopping that open side throw, and the hammer can travel all the way to the break side there. Jones in a lot of space.
Yeah, so Puggle knocking on the door of taking half. Half is at 8. And at the moment, after looking for feedback, your feedback that is, people out there watching this live stream, we appreciate you watching and supporting ULTI.TV as well. After looking at feedback at the moment as to your thoughts on the current seasons that they have, that is the mixed season and the open single gender season. And on the AFTA website, they're asking you, could you please go there and give your feedback? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great that there's a nice open survey for all the members of the community, whether you're a player, a non-player, to give your thoughts on the current structure of the season. It's quite a detailed survey, so you can do it quickly or you can spend time doing it. As we see Umami sending it long to Lou in the end zone, and he's looking calm and he comes down with it. And that's a nice quick point for Umami there. The point had barely started and it was already over.
No, it was a beautifully weighted disc. It just floated over the head of the receiver, and an easy catch in the end zone for the Umami receiver.
Puggle maybe a little bit slower to get that pressure on the handlers there, allowing for that nice open flick. Beautifully balanced. And Lou coming down with that one.
Yeah, so Puggle definitely weren't set up defensively, and Umami taking advantage of that. So getting back to this AFTA survey, so they're looking at your feedback for the current seasons. Do you like them the way that they are? What are your thoughts? Do you have any suggestions? Any feedback would be appreciated. I think coming up for halftime, we also have a little bit of an advert for that. There's a QR code involved in that as well. But also go to the AFTA Facebook page and give them your thoughts. Every thought is a valid thought, and we would like as much feedback as possible from you.
Exactly, and we've got a link to that survey, directly to that survey, in the comments of this live stream at the moment, if you are so inclined to do it right now, or maybe in half time. As Puggle centers the disc. Umami setting up a little bit of a zone or a bracket type defense here. Mixing things up a little bit. Probably trying to force Puggle to change how they're doing their offense.
So our first zone look of the game. Let's see how this goes. Not a great deal of wind, but definitely a good look to change it up. Umami really sensing that they have to do something tactically in order to stop this Puggle flow. And it is having a desired effect at the moment. Disc stuck with the Puggle handlers. Now the handlers start to do some small cuts, few give goes. Don't want to get too static though, so they keep the disc moving, looking for something to open up in the middle. Moving it through, but not a lot happening. So really nice defensive look here from Umami.
Definitely forcing those handlers to make as many throws as they possibly can, increasing the chance of an error. As we get a little bit of contact there. Umami doing well to smother the downfield options, but Puggle squeezing it through and getting a bit of momentum here. This is where the zone can sometimes break apart.
So knocking on the door here. This is where you want something wide and a big swing, but there was no movement in the end zone for that. So going back and forth, that's in the air. And so lucky to come. I thought he came down with that. I must have missed that.
It could have been the same person that threw it that also caught it.
Yes.
Which we can't have unless someone else has touched it.
No defensive player touched that. Thank you for picking that one up.
It was hard to see.
So Umami just getting away a little bit lucky there, I think, after missing that defensive block.
Yeah, they would have breathed a sigh of relief with that one as a Callahan chance for Puggle, and the pressure is too much. And they've got another chance here to take half.
Yeah, I think they're going to go match here defensively. There's no time to set up that zone. So probably an easy-ish, I suspect, goal. Knocking on the door, not quite getting there, has to dump it back, almost a strip. Looking for those break throws. Everything's static. There's no cuts coming from that stack. So throw to the break side, brings it down, two hands, happy as. Puggle take half, 8-5.
Great job there from Puggle. Another hammer. I think that potentially is 3 hammer goals for Puggle. Working very well for them.
They've done very well there. So we'll go into half with some highlights. Check out the AFTA website and we'll be back after these short messages.
Is a combined national calendar something that you'd be in support of?
I think definitely, depending upon the format that it takes. I think an off-season is really critical for player injury prevention and then also for development of youth players and development players. But I think it's important that we consider the format that it's going to take.
Fantastic. So what changes do you personally want to see the AFDA make and why?
I would be a fan of including the off-season, like I said, but in a way where we'd have an extended AMUC AUC season where the two tournaments aren't played at the same time but potentially 8 weeks, approximately 2 months apart, so players could feasibly play in both. They would be training for potentially both during the pre-season. Then they would compete in either AMUC or AUC, whichever is held first, and then have 8-week period to recover from injuries and then focus on the next tournament and then play that one, and have potentially a 4 or 5 month off season while still being able to feasibly play both. I have seen this model in Europe and I think it's quite effective for having athletes able to play in both different tournaments.
And why is it important that everyone gets involved in the process and has a say in this national calendar review?
I think everyone, regardless of where they are in their Frisbee journey, if they're playing local league, if they're playing up to the elite level, I think it's really important that they get involved in the program and in the review, because I think often we can prioritise elite athletes, which is really important, but I think it's important that everyone gets to say, regardless of where you are, and even if you're not participating in these tournaments currently, potentially why aren't you participating and why would you like to see things different in the future?
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Welcome back after that half-time break, and Puggle taking half 8-5. We have Puggle starting on D and Umami starting on offense. So Umami is to the left of your screen. Sun is still out. No change really in weather conditions. A light breeze, and Umami looking to claw their way back into this game.
Yeah, if you missed the start of the game, Puggle did come out with a few early breaks, and Umami's managed to hold that since having a timeout, but really needing to continue that intensity here. But we know Puggle has got the skill to win this game. So it'll be an interesting second half of Frisbee here for the last pool play game for these two teams. And we'll determine which teams make the quarterfinals later this afternoon.
Yes, big break for these teams until they play next. It'll be at the end of the day, seeing this is the end of their pool play. They'll have a good middle half of the day off to think about their tactics, as a roller just makes it past the receiver on the Umami team.
Bethune with the disc in the middle, once again handling for Umami to Sleeth. Back to Kiguchi, who's also been an instrumental handler for the team. Over to Hodson. Not many options downfield at the moment for Umami, and really struggling there, and a disc goes to the ground. Puggle here with a break chance early in the half, and they're pumping it over to get that disc. Connell, huge flick to the open side, and the pressure's put on there by Umami. Seems like there's a turn, but there's a bit of discussion there, so maybe we've got a call.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I thought the Puggle player had good play on it and the Umami player might have just caught his arms a little bit. That's what it looked like to me. I was waiting for the call to come straight away, but Puggle player thinking about it, taking time, which is quite appropriate, I think, because sometimes when you're in that state of play, everything happens so fast, you're really not too sure. You've got to replay it in your mind. I went up, I did feel some contact, which I felt impeded my ability to catch it cleanly and then make that call. There's nothing wrong with that. That is fine. That is the way some people think. And it looks like that the call has been retracted, I think, and Umami will come away with the disc.
Yeah, good discussion there between the players. As you were saying, Phil, sometimes it's really hard in the heat of the moment, particularly in the end zone. Often we can have hasty foul calls. It was good that the players took the time to talk through and think through that call there.
I think they also asked for the game advisor's opinion on that as well, and they took that into consideration.
Umami with it on their end zone line here. Cuts coming from the middle, but Puggle doing well to kind of stop those ones there. As a spicy backhand comes up and there's a turn there. A lot of defensive pressure there from the whole of the Puggle team meant that tricky pass had to come out from the Umami player.
Yes, and we've got Eriksson now directing traffic as this Puggle offensive effort comes into play. Looks like we have Weir looking for a plan, cut up the sideline. We're going to have to do a break throw back to the middle. As it goes up the sideline, back to the middle. Will we get a swing? No, they're going to keep it on that flick sideline. Inside break. There's a great tussle there in the middle of the field. Comes over the side, gets the foot down, takes a one-hand strong grab. Puggle with another score, start this half.
Great work there from that Puggle player in the end zone. That was number 58, Connell. Just to see that the pass was a little bit floaty and he needed to get there quickly to help out the team. Umami having the defensive intensity there, particularly from Kikuchi, but just couldn't quite get the D. And that's Puggle coming out with a break from half.
So at the moment we're looking a bit of ebb and flow from both teams, and you can see it in the way that they walk back to their lines. Straight away when they've lost the point, they get a little bit in their heads, they get a little bit down, they walk back slower. The team that's just scored, they've got the high fives going, they've got the energy boost, the whole team comes in around them. It's that ebb and flow I like of the game, and as long as a team can get back that focus after a disappointment of losing a point, then they're still in it. You can't let that get to you.
Exactly. You know, sometimes we do see quite a few games of Frisbee where you get a run of, you know, one team will score 5 points in a row coming from behind, and it's never over until it's over. So this game also is far from over. The scoreline is currently at 9-5 to Puggle. But Umami's definitely got the skill and the grit to stay in this game. As the pull comes down, a little bit shorter. Varley behind the disc. Once again, sending it up that far sideline where the wind is trapping it. You'd think Umami might want to try and swing it from that side. As a long shot goes up to the end zone and shakes underneath it, and she's done it. Great play there from Umami.
That is a brilliant look there from Umami. They came out, their structure on offense was interesting. It was a split stack. They had 2-2 on each side. It did collapse as the play went through. However, the structure in the beginning allowed for all that space in the deep for the Umami receiver to run onto that. And in the end, a really nice put into the end zone.
So we just see that replay there. Not from an easy position, right on that far sideline, but it worked for them. You know, and oftentimes when you're learning how to do deep cuts, we often get told to not cut in the same kind of lane as the throwing lane, in the same third as the field. But that one was, and that one worked. Just shows you don't have to always go by the books.
No. Sometimes also with that rule of thirds, if you can throw the disc in a bit of an arc outside the third to come back into the same third, that's also acceptable.
As we have the score of 9-6. Will we see Umami come out with that zone again that they played just before half that did work quite well?
It actually was relatively effective, I felt. So they're running down. I'm thinking it's match. And it is. So Umami looking for some defensive pressure to get the turn as Puggle make cuts from their vertical stack. Middle of the field. Bit of a hold up there. They was lucky to grab that one. Low throw, potential for a turnover there. Coming down the middle, some cuts, some players a little bit stagnant though as well. Someone's asked for it long and deep, and that's going to float for a while. Should be able to run onto that. Oh, out of the hands.
That's really unfortunate there. She made a great cut down there. Really got free from the player, and the throw was quite good. It's just kind of bubbled in the hands, and the wind's taken that one away.
So it was Gregory, the receiver, unable to reel that one in. Had all the time in the world, probably too much time to think about that.
As we see Donnelly with the disc for Umami, over to Shake. And Byron keeps it in there. Long shot down to Donnelly's under it, but we've also got two Puggle players and it's fading towards them. But Donnelly reads it well and Umami comes away with the score.
Another good put, a good throw, lots of float on it, lots of touch. The receiver read it well with this wind, with the angle of the disc, made good time, made good space and came down with an easy catch.
Yeah, Puggle won't be too happy with that one. They put in all the hard work and then just couldn't quite get that final catch that they needed. It's always a bit of a blow to the confidence or the ego when you've had to do all that work and then you don't come away with it. But Umami, we can see them all kneeling down on the line. They really want this one.
This is a different look. Everyone is out there now listening to it. I love it when teams rally behind the players that are on the field in this way. I think it gives them a sense of support. There's an eighth person on the field there with them, and they're going to both sidelines as well. So you can see that this is what they need if they are to claw their way back into this game. They need all the team to suddenly lift, not just to that little sideline chatter about, you know, how's your weekend going, but to get involved in the game in a very real way.
Yeah, definitely. Frisbee is not just about the players on the field. The sideline is equally as important for energy and also for information for players, particularly on defense, as Jones centers it to his teammate there, number 58, Connell. Umami doing well to prevent that dump, but Puggle is not too phased. Umami seeming to put on their zone again here.
Yeah, definitely a zone look at the moment. They got a bit flat-footed and a bit behind the disc, so they do need to stay in front.
That was a huge bid there from the Puggle player. That could have been Richards Tang, I can't quite tell, but she got herself on the ground to keep that one alive.
So there's a problem with that Umami zone defense. Well, that one floats up and allows for potential D, but coming down with it. Puggle, two Puggle players there wanting it. Needs some relief here, needs a get out of jail card, bit flat-footed, decides to go over the top, maybe lucky, maybe not. And Umami get the D.
They almost got another hammer goal there, Puggle. But Umami really crowding that disc space as we've got a few players burning it long. Wanting to have safe hands in this part of the field. We did see Umami with a couple of mistakes in the first half, leading to early turns. And it's just another turn there for Umami. I couldn't quite see what happened. Giving Puggle another shot.
Basically fell in no man's land. I'm not too sure. Miscommunication there between the sender and the receiver, but the wind has picked up. So I was saying earlier about this Umami zone, that they need to make sure they don't collapse too much in that zone so that they can stay in front of the disc. And as I was just speaking about that, that's exactly what happened. Umami got caught behind the disc, just allowed a number of Puggle free plays upfield for an easy score.
Yeah, that was Connell there from Puggle with the score. Once again, jumping it over the end zone line, which is often used as a tactic when teams do play this kind of zone. Because Umami was really stopping those kind of downfield looks, but if the handlers can just break through the cup or those early players, we see that great grab there from the two Puggle players, really not giving up on the disc.
Half a chance there. And this is what I was talking about. Now the Umami defence has been caught behind, just Puggle players in front. No one there to defend other than maybe two deep defenders versus 4 offensive players. Really not a great chance.
Puggle wanting to make sure that they do stay ahead in this tight matchup. The score now 10-7. Game will go to first to 15 or a time cap. Time cap this weekend is not sure actually.
100 minutes, I think.
100 minutes, okay. As we see the pull go up, Umami to receive. And that's a great pull over in the corner there. Bethune and Kiguchi once again working it through themselves. Kluken looking for something in the middle, but Puggle seems to have a sort of arrowhead zone here. And we haven't seen them used so far in the match.
So it looks like Puggle putting on their own zone defence, which is being quite effective at the moment. Both teams not sure what to do about zone defence. As Puggle come away, as that disc floats in the air due to the breeze. Put a little bit too high. You get a swing around. Henriksson with the disc. A couple of hands go up saying, pick me, pick me. Coming down this sideline, that's got a nice float on it. Unfortunately, bit of a trip there from the Puggle player and an easy defense in the end for Umami.
Great intensity there from the Umami player Kiguchi to make sure of that one with Sleeth with the disc. Umami really wanting to get this out of this Puggle half. With that wind picking up a little bit, we did see before, there's definitely lots of chances for D's. Any slight misthrow and the wind has the potential to go up a little too high. Just working it through those handlers at the moment.
I like the Puggle zone defense. They're actually working very well. I think Umami's problem here is that they don't have any poppers. They don't have anyone who can work the middle appropriately to be in the gap space when the disc goes from one side to the other. So that's really what is happening there in terms of offense and defense, is Puggle get an easy score on that turn.
Yeah, great job there from Puggle. Umami maybe looking a little bit gassed by that point. A couple of open shots down the open side, open unders I should say, for Puggle. And then great hands in the end zone there. But that zone defense did work well for Puggle.
So I think my comment about the Umami offense actually applies to the Puggle offense as well, although Puggle do seem to be getting it through the zone a little bit more. Both teams, I think, can work on that in terms of zone offense. They need to start thinking, who is going to take control of that middle part of the field to allow an easy throw through that zone, through that first part, whether it's a cup, whether it's a wall, whatever it is. They need to have someone who's experienced, who's knowledgeable, who can see what's happening before it happens and get to the appropriate place.
Exactly, and it can take a little while to kind of develop that game experience, to know the good time to make that middle of the field cut. So I think from my own playing experience, being those poppers sometimes feels like you're just running around all the time and no one's throwing it to you, but it's very important because the handlers, when they do get that look off, They kind of want to see you right there in the middle.
Yep.
And it can really open up the field.
And that's the second part of the equation, is that the handlers have to have the confidence in both the receiver and their ability to throw it past that cut, past that zone wall defence, knowing that their mids will get the disc.
As we see Umami receiving the pull, just bounces a little bit, giving Puggle a bit of extra time. Puggle setting up. More looks like a pommy zone here. But Umami managing to move it quite quickly, which is often powerful against a zone in the early stages if you can get the disc moving. And it looks like there was a turn over there.
That was unfortunate. It went straight through the hands, bounced off of his chest as he went to ground, as he had an Umami receiver just sprinting deep by themselves. There was a goal just gone there that they could have taken. So unfortunate that for Umami, but Puggle walked the disc to the turn, and Umami not having a chance to set a zone, so straight to match. Looking for something long, doesn't happen, undercut. We get a handler cut up the sideline.
And we've got a poach here from Umami. It could have been a miscommunication, but they've worked it out now. For a while there was a free Puggle play, and a huge zingy shot goes through. Looks like a bit of a collision there.
Yeah, that throw had some pepper on it, didn't it?
I hardly saw it go past.
Blink and you would have missed that one.
Looks like we've got a call there from the Puggle player. I did see either a strip or a foul hand signal.
Here
They're
we
just
see
talking it out now.
That replay, looking at what's happened. Hard to pick that up on my screen here, but player definitely went down.
Seems like those two Umami players also collided, coming from different directions.
I think it was the Umami players that collided with each other. But the game advisor has come on, will give their perspective.
If it's to the detriment of your team, you can just tell them.
And we do like to keep these discussions to below, I think it's 45 seconds.
Used to be 30 seconds.
We've just had intel that
Reasonable amount of time is now the definition. So
in the next version of the rules, so not quite in yet.
iteration V X.X.
Basically as quickly as we can. Because when you do have a game with a lot of long calls, it can be very, very disruptive to the flow of the game. But luckily so far in this game, we've only had a couple. They seem to be worked out well, as that is an accepted foul.
The game advisor's doing a good job there also.
And Puggle. Jones with the disc. He's played well so far for the team. Once again, Puggle happy to swing it if their downfield options aren't coming off. A little bit of bobble, and Hap for Umami does well there to knock that one out of the sky, and she's going long, but just sends it up into the air again and gives it back to Puggle.
So Puggle on a rebound here. Miller throwing it through the middle here. We've got a pick call downfield. Play stops. And we have Wu with the disc. Waiting for play to resume. Disc coming in on 1 or 2, I think, a very low still count. Wu with the disc now. Nice throw over here. Gray looks to the end zone, and an easy score there. So good work by Puggle after that pick, just to settle things down and put another score on the board and another nail potentially in Umami's coffin.
Well, when you say it like that.
Doesn't sound great. At least as far as this game goes, is what we're talking about. Because
Yes.
Umami do need the win to have any hint of making it through to the top bracket next. So I think Coffin and RJ actually not too bad in this respect.
No, it's pretty good. They'll be really wanting this one, Umami, and it is as we were saying, the game's never over till it's over, but Puggle's looking quite comfortable out there.
Yeah, 5-point lead at this point in the game is quite hard to overcome. Not impossible, There's still a hint of life that can be seen at the end of the tunnel. Bit of light there. But as far as the overall game picture goes, Umami really need to dig deep now in order to keep their hopes alive.
Exactly. No one wants to get knocked out before quarterfinals when you come to these championships. You've all worked really hard, usually quite a few months. Some of these teams probably started preparing in June or maybe even May. They had selections, so you want to be able to play as many high quality games as you can. With Appel with the Frisbee. Kikuchi once again, good hands there to keep that one off the ground. Bethune looking into the middle, easy pass there to Schmidt. Puggle seeming to do a bit of a match defense here. But Umami not having too many options that they're happy with. Puggle doing well to smother that dump reset, as we have a stall out called on the previous pass.
Now, looking at the overhead shot of that one on Puggle 26 Lee, did a lot of good poaching to shut down some potential undercuts. So really good foresight by her to shut that down. And I'm looking at this Umami lineup, and they do have a good lineup on the field. So barring just a plain drop or miscommunication or something like that, a great D potentially by Weir there, I think Umami have given themselves the best chance to score on this one.
Oh.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Just that last 1% as they see the end zone, the throw not quite out of the hands as wanted, goes to ground. The diving effort not quite enough to pick it up. I mean, the effort for the receive there was just fantastic to try and get that low throw, but didn't work for Umami. So now Puggle working the hands through Weir at the moment, going upfield and stop dead in her tracks, allows the Umami defender to come through, run through for an easy block. Umami with a second chance in this point.
Exactly, that was Schmidt there from Umami with the run through D. Great heads up D there. And another huge one from Puggle. This is crazy, and then we've got a timeout called from Puggle. That was Gray with the D there.
I thought that was a really smart timeout call, actually. It was a great bid, and many players could at that point in time just get into their heads. I've got the D, we're so close to the end zone, let's punch it in, but had the foresight to see I actually don't have any support here at the moment. There's probably not a lot of point in me dumping it, running into the end zone, because then he would have 3 Umami defensive players on him. So to have that foresight to take the timeout immediately before a stall count even gets on is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think that was also a great call there. We saw earlier in the game how we had a throwaway, I think, from the Umami team after something really cool happened. And like you said, just get that adrenaline, chilling out a little bit, giving time for the team to run through. As both teams taking it into huddles here, we know that they both want to just probably save their energy, particularly for the team that is going to head through to the quarterfinals. Not wanting to waste too much energy here with long points. With this one, there's been a few turns in this point already.
Yeah, so again, not something you see too much is like a very well-structured team will allow the offense to set up. They'll just stand back, and I was very happy with the way Umami approached coming back in from this timeout. They just kept in their huddle, allowed Puggle to set up, and then went to their defensive positions. So Puggle now looking for maybe some sort of set play, and I think it's going to pay. It's going to come off. That was a handless strike after the throw. Cut into the end zone, beautifully executed. Nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of teams, if they saw that, they could definitely replicate that. So it was a brilliantly executed play by Puggle to bring the score to 13-7.
Yeah, great work there from Gray of Puggle. Just too good in that handless space and then into the end zone. And a nice throw there from Richards Tang, knowing her receiver. Gray is quite tall, so she could probably put that float on it and know he'd probably come down with it.
Yeah, it was a really good put as well, wasn't it? Just the right amount of height and float and touch on it to allow him to come down with that point.
Umami defense maybe getting a little bit confused there. Did hear some chatter from the field. I think that the sideline knew that Gray was going to go for that goal.
So 4 points in a row to Puggle, unanswered by this Umami team. They haven't looked, excuse me, as though they couldn't answer them, but they have been unanswered. That's just the plain fact of this closing part of the game.
Yeah, we've seen Umami a couple of times in this half get great Ds and work it so close to the end zone, but then just not get that final pass in, which really makes all the difference in these close games. Particularly against a team like Puggle, who are able to capitalise on that turn as the pool comes up. And we almost had a... That was spicy. Puggle with a bit of a zone, I think, here.
Yeah, so Puggle, I think this is going to work well for them. I can't realistically see Umami working past this too easily. As I said before, they've just been missing that structure in the middle.
As we're getting a bit of extra wind.
Hear that gusting. And they do get it a little bit further upfield down that far sideline, but the Puggle zone getting in front of the disc very quickly. Lucky to get away with that one. Almost collision there from the Umami players. Gets dumped back and swung. They are making a little bit of headway up this field, faking a few overheads, trying to get it over that first front line of defence. But it goes back and forth, a little bit of give and go there. Might have to swing it back to the middle as nothing is coming from the Umami offence. Now asking for a bit of disc space. I think that was fair at the moment.
Puggle doing well to stop those handlers getting that next throw off for Umami. Really just having to swing it across as it goes over the hands of Lim, but she manages to keep it. That's great work for the second attempt there from even Lim. Once again, Umami just, you can tell they want it, but there's every chance that those throws do get picked up by the wind as Rogers sends a huge flick to the end zone. We've got a couple of players underneath it, and Byron goes up and cools it down.
That was a really good look and a really good put. I can't say it any better than that. The handlers were looking stuck, as I was expecting there to be just a turn through sheer number of throws. And I think there was that recognition. We've got to stop that. We've got to put it. I didn't think that was going to come off initially. But in the end, as soon as I saw the float on that disc and the receiver in open space, I said to myself, yes, this is going to be a point. They're going to come down with this one. Umami are going to get what they want.
Yeah, that was great vision there from Rogers of Umami. She worked well throughout that point as we see the replay of that grab. Narrowly missing a collision. And another one. Umami really showing that they are still in this game. And there's that flick over to the far sideline. Just a perfect amount of float, really, and perfect positioning from the receiver.
It was absolutely put on a dime on the sideline just to the receiver's advantage. Great throw.
Let's see how Puggle respond. Umami probably needing to lift that intensity on defense even more than they already have been to force these turns from Puggle. Puggle definitely within reach of the end of the game. Pulls a little bit short.
So Puggle walking it up. They're looking at a horizontal offense. Probably collapse a little bit after that. Deep space available. Dives and comes up with the disc. Can you believe that? Can you believe that?
I can't.
That was something special. That was something else. Fading away from the receiver in the end zone. Set play from the get-go. They set up the hoe. He found himself deep, took advantage, ran straight to the end zone, The put was sent. We see it here on the replay.
As we see that Umami player poaching off their other player, knowing that that throw was coming up, but they just couldn't. I think if Umami had dove in the way there, it would have been a bit of a foul.
Would have been a collision, but I'm with you. I thought that second defensive player coming from out from the middle might have got there. Had to jump in the end to avoid the collision, as you said. Great effort, though, to at least see it, but an even bigger effort by Puggle to bring that one down.
And they will be very happy with that. A one-throw point. You don't see too many of those.
No, set play from a turn. Great work.
As Umami are coming out on offense again. Great pull, hanging in the air, allowing Puggle to really run it down. And Umami's just gone out of the hands again. We've seen a few of those, unfortunately. Puggle here for a chance for the game and to cement their spot in the quarterfinals if they can convert this point. Jones on the sideline looking for Gray once again, but he's poached off a little bit. Umami recognizing that he is a major threat in the Puggle offense. As a flick comes up down the sideline to Weir. Gray in the center. Umami scrambling here, and it goes up in the air. And she's just managed to toe it in, has she?
No, she tried her heart out, though, trying to drag that back foot, reaching out full extension, trying to keep it in. Unfortunately, wasn't able to do that. As Umami get the disc back, they have the full length of the field they have to travel now to get that point as it floats over the top. Lucky to get it into a receiver's hand. That one's going deep. That's brilliant. What's going to happen here? He's got to wait for plenty of players. Could have called a timeout to give a bit more. Goes over the head.
Lucky to keep that one in her hands is Appel to Bethune. Umami trying to get some structure here in a bit of a messy end zone, having to have everyone run through. Tight defense there from Puggle. Bit of a tussle. Lila over the top. Sorry, Appel. And a huge bid there. And it's out the back.
Again, trying to toe it in. Just a little bit unfortunate. The extension causing the foot to come off the ground. Lands back on the ground after the back of the end zone.
Yeah, that was a great shot there earlier in that point from Umami, as we see Puggle once again with the disc and a chance to end the game. We've got the same player running to the end zone looking for the score, and it's gone up. Few players underneath it from each team, and Sleeth does well to come down with it from Umami. Kluken with it on the sideline, back to Sleeth. Kluken's calling for it long, and he gets what he wants. Can he get underneath it? They've got two big, and it's just a huge D there from Connell. Sorry, that might be Gray. Gray from Puggle does well to crush Umami's dreams a little bit there.
You can see here the disc going up, streaking, a little bit of contact there, wanting it, jumping higher, pushing it away. Would have liked to see the catch on that D, but happy to slap it away nice and hard and still effective. As the Puggle player retrieves it from the woodland area out the back of this end zone. And what nice scenery we have here. Like the backdrop that we have here is just fantastic in Nelson Bay today. And the weather is just superb.
You're right, it is a gorgeous part of the world as we see a timeout called from Puggle once again. Getting themselves a little bit of rest. It's probably their last time out.
Yeah, I suspect that they've used up their quota of time outs. Well, let's see what can happen again. Now, Puggle having to traverse the full length of the field as they go into the huddles. This time, we'll see probably a little bit of difference, seeing Puggle have called this time out. Let's see what happens here. Umami getting into their tight huddle. And Puggle, they've just got their main 7 players, I think, that are on the field, talking about what they're going to do, and the rest of them just happy to listen in. So again, that just goes to show, I think we mentioned it earlier about the difference between these two teams. The focus, I want to use the word seriousness in a good sense that Umami have, that they're bringing to this game. Puggle, very different in that look, but it's working for them, and that's what I like. Each team has to know what works for them, and Puggle know what works for them. Umami knows what works for them also. So Puggle have to set on offense first of all. Again, Umami, very patient, very structured in allowing that offense to set up before they're going to decide how they're going to set up defensively, making sure it's all the way Puggle wants it. Now they're going to go out, sort out their matchups. They decide what they're going to do. And we're going to have a match defense coming up here. Let's see how everyone is structured. Now I'm trying to figure out what we've got here. We've got a split stack or an ISO. I can't quite work it out. We've got two on the far side, one in the middle, one on the near side. So I think it's a set ISO play to the back as Weir goes deep.
We've got Weir under it, and a few players from Umami managed to hit that one out of the air by Lou.
Yeah, Lou definitely used his legs there to make up that ground. And again, I think that was almost a set plan from Umami, that they knew there was a potential for a long shot, and he was always going to be the go-to to chase that one down, hoping that would float, and it did for them to get the defensive pressure there.
Exactly. We've seen a lot of long shots come off really well for Puggle in this game. So Umami probably knew that was going to happen, particularly with Weir. They're a great receiver in the end zone. As Sleeth has the disc for Umami. Puggle with the match defense. Dane Klukin with the nice open undercut there, working hard as Ethel gets off her feet to keep that one alive. And a long shot down to Hodson in the end zone, but we've got two Puggle players. Bit of a tussle, and he just, unfortunately, claps that one out of his hands.
Would you believe it? Like it was the two Puggle defensive players there, both went up early, didn't really get anything on it to speak of, left there. I think he must have been like wondering what is going on here. I shouldn't have got this disc, and now he finds himself with the easiest of catches, muffs it.
It's always very, very frustrating as a player for things like that to happen. You can see it in your hands as Puggle once again is going to try and work it down through the field, as it's through the hands of Weir as well. Maybe some fatigue setting in here for both teams.
Yeah, an unusual drop for Weir.
Umami walking it up slowly. We've got a free player here on the far side, but it's to Klukin, and I think he's tried to jump it in there. Not happy though. He's going to send it to Bethune, and he's got it. Nice one-hand grab. Umami still very happy about that one.
I love the celebration. Putting the disc to his head, saying, we're back, we're going to take this out. I love the intensity. I love the thought that's behind it.
Yeah, the game, you know, it is definitely not over, and you don't want to be kind of thinking in your head that even though the other team's on 14, that the game is done, because we've seen huge comebacks before in Ultimate.
Absolutely, and Umami getting 2 out of the last 3 points gives them a little bit of hope. Trailing by 5 at the moment, needing 6 to win.
Have you ever been on a team that scored 6 breaks in a row, Phil?
I might have dreamed about it once. I can't remember if it was an actual reality or not. It would have been a long, long time ago. But I've seen... I've got information that Brisbaneites, they last weekend, the semi-final, there you go. So look at that one. I'll just get some information. That's on ULTI.TV, is it? So we can look that one up. Please look that one up.
as we see Puggle starting on offense. Umami setting up with Match, putting on as much pressure as they can to try and force a turn here. Puggle handlers doing well to make space for themselves. And it's sending it up to Reeve. Great hands from her. Tight mark there from catch pole of Umami. Puggle just keeping their cool here and sending it along the field. And they've done it. Puggle take the game. Unless there was a call. No, they've done it. Puggle victorious over Umami, 15-9.
Yeah, no, that was, look, coming out last defensive set from Umami. It was really good to see the intensity that they put in that. You could see they wanted the point. They were shutting everything down. They were hot on the heels of all the Puggle players as the disc was being moved up the field. Unfortunately, we're not able to get the D that they wanted as we see that last point here in replay. Coming across the field, and there's a nice floating disc. And I think as soon as the Umami players saw that one put up, they knew it was good night.
Yeah, shot to the break side. No one there. That Puggle player just had a few steps on their defender, and that was enough with a good throw like that.
Absolutely, that was fantastic. Look, thank you for joining us for this match, 9v10 in Pool C, Puggle versus Umami. Next up, in a short while, 11:10 Eastern Standard Time, we have Manly versus Chile, one of the more anticipated games that we'll see in this pool round at the moment. So stay with us for that as well. We have some closing highlights as well. My name is Phil Shields.
And I'm Katie Snellgrove.
Thank you very much for joining us in this ULTI.TV broadcast. Wishing you all well and a good day.
ULTI.TV.